I remember the date we went viral. We had 403 followers at the time. It went crazy viral. 11.6 million views that one video got.
That's Charlie Lawrence, the social media wizard who makes his clients millions online. In this episode, Charlie reveals just how quickly you can grow on TikTok.
There was like this pressure now because we went from 403 followers to over 100K in 18 days.
An in-depth breakdown of what makes a video go viral.
90% of your video is the first 5 seconds. So there's 3 parts to a hook. There's your hook, and then there's your kind of like hook.
What he'd do differently if he was starting from scratch.
I think one of the mistakes we made was...
And so much more.
Who's top of the chain?
I saw a video from him last night, Iman Gadzhi, who was showing me his $2.8 million watch collection. And I know if you click this up, that's gonna get so much hate.
If you want to grow your following online and build a business off the back of it, you don't want to miss this. I really hope you enjoy this episode. If you do, please subscribe and let's dive in.
Charlie, thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I think it's a year since we last spoke and a lot has changed.
Yeah, it has. It's been a year and a bit. So much has changed.
I want to start though with the beginning of you on TikTok. And I'd love this episode to be like a bit of a masterclass on how to go viral on TikTok.
Yeah.
The process to do it, all of the stuff that then an opportunity that then creates for you.
Yeah.
And maybe we also touch on some agency stuff and business gurus and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But let's start with TikTok. Why did you start posting videos?
That's a really good question. I saw that people were blowing up on TikTok and building a personal brand. I saw that the organic reach was there, unlike any other platform at the time, even compared to like Instagram, definitely LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. Don't even get me started on Facebook, absolutely dead. So I thought to myself, if there's going to be one platform we can crack in the shortest amount of time, it's going to be TikTok. And I still firmly believe that to this day. It's still the number one platform. If you want to build an audience, it's the fastest one you can build one on compared to anything else.
Yeah. But why did you want to start posting and creating content? Did you see other people doing it and you thought that could be interesting for the agency or for myself? Or
it's a really good question. So I'd always been posting content for like years and years with the agency, and it was very specific to digital marketing and Facebook ads and Google ads. And then I realized that only has so much of a audience size. It's quite a specific niche. And I wanted to build up more of a personal brand for myself, being known as an entrepreneur and a content creator in a wider niche like business and entrepreneurship. So that's when we just went kind of all in, trying to test different formats of what worked, what didn't, and then doubling down on the ones that resonated with the audience we were building there.
Yeah, it's really cool what then happened. So let's go to that moment.
Yeah.
Do you remember the date that you started?
I remember the date we went viral. The date we started posting, I think, was the 30th of April, 2022 was the date, yeah. We had 403 followers at the time.
And between that date and going viral,
yeah,
what does that time frame look like? And you're posting how often?
That's a really good question. So we went viral on the 6th of July. So two and a bit months, 60 something odd days. We were posting 2 to 3 times a day, just trying to figure out what did the algorithm like, what content did I like to create. And finally, after 154 pieces of content, we found a format that went crazy viral. Not just like viral to 1 million views, like mega viral to 11.6 million views that one video got. And it literally all started with that one video. Everything else came after that.
What was the video?
Oh, it was me reacting to some guy's terrible passive income advice. It was like 5 perfect businesses for passive income. And they were all just fucking dreadful businesses. They weren't passive in any way. And I just had an authentic reaction being like, this is absolute fucking bullshit. Don't believe everything you see on the internet. And then the views just went off. It was 1 million views in the first 24 hours, another 1 million in the next 24 hours. And then by day 58, it crossed 10 million views.
It's madness, isn't it?
it's just
I
nuts.
mean, that's just these numbers in those time frames. It's unheard of, like in the
Yeah.
years before on social media.
Yeah.
And that, I guess, is the power of TikTok and why you went all in on it.
Yeah.
From that moment on, you have the viral video success. What do? Do you kind of put up your feet, sit back,
No.
admire your work?
No. I didn't want to lose any momentum. So there was like this pressure now because we went from 403 followers to over 100K in 18 days. So it's like, right, I now have a sizable audience that are expecting content from me and that kind of content. So I went all in on reactions and we were just pumping out reactions, posting them. We kind of slowed the frequency down a bit from 2 to 3 a day to just 1 a day because that's kind of all we could handle at the time with the team we had. And I'd say the team we had, it was literally me and Simon behind the camera. And we were just like, right, we got to do videos, keep pumping out as much content as we can. And so from that point, there was this pressure to always be producing content. And I feel like that's probably one of the biggest kind of, you can sometimes perceive it as a negative pressure that creators face, as now you're building up an audience. I can't just stop TikTok for a month now. There's no way. You'd be out the algorithm, views would dip, it would just be absolute chaos and really negative. So it's like this treadmill of content production now that we haven't stopped for over a year.
Yeah. And where are you in terms of platform size at the moment?
So about 300K on TikTok. We are almost 13K, I think, on Instagram, just about 10K on YouTube. So majority audience is TikTok, as you would imagine, because that's kind of like our core channel. But I know we can crack Instagram Reels. Like I've seen it with, some of the videos we've had have crossed 1 million views on Instagram, massively grows your audience. That's the only real way to grow on Instagram now is through Reels. And so I'm confident that we can get that to 100K in the next 12 months, no problem. YouTube, I don't care about short form on YouTube. I don't want YouTube to think of my channel as just short form because it doesn't at the moment translate into long form views. So I've seen people that are growing creators, they have 50, 60, 70, 80,000 subscribers on YouTube, all coming from their short form content. They produce a long form piece, it gets 2,000, 3,000 views, absolutely dead in the water based on audience size. And I don't want that. So we're putting a lot more effort and emphasis into long form content and how we can crack YouTube long form and leave Instagram and TikTok for short form content.
Yeah. And I've heard your plans for that and I'm very excited about them. And I think let's get into them.
Okay.
But first, I think we should just break down for someone who's listening to this, who might have dabbled in TikTok or is thinking about it.
Yeah.
Does your process still hold true, which is basically post loads of stuff for about 2-3 months, get your viral banger, then double down on that and build a system and a process to maintain that consistently? What would you tell people to do if they wanted to grow on TikTok?
It's pretty similar to that, apart from remove the expectation of going viral, because we never had that in the first place. We never could have predicted going viral from that piece of content. And I don't think you can on TikTok know like, oh yeah, that's an absolute banger, that's going to fly, because it's so varied and you just never know what's going to hit and what's not. But the process is fundamentally test, and test some fucking more, because if you're putting out 1 or 2 pieces of content a week, that is not enough. It's going to take you way too long to figure out what works, what doesn't, what do you like creating as well. And then once you've figured out things that work and get better views, double down on that format. But I think one of the mistakes we made was we went viral for something we never anticipated. And as a format, it's not defensible. This is the best way to put it. Like, defensible content means it's very hard to copy. Reactions, anybody can do a reaction. You literally sit in front of camera and you react to it. And that's, I think, in the last 12 months, we've seen a huge increase in reactions on the platform because they pump views. People are always interested in other people's opinion on things. And so for us, we're transitioning away from that because I personally think I'm so much more capable of producing better content and bigger content than just reaction pieces. We've kind of done that. And that's kind of like a chapter closed, I feel like, in my book. But in terms of the process, it's literally test, find what works, double down, make it defensible, because I think it's harder and harder to stand out. Think of some unique positioning you have or barrier to entry that will stop other people just immediately copying it. And then build out a process in order to be able to consistently create content. So then build out your team or your process of ideation and then concepting and, you know, pre-production, production, post-production.
Yeah. And just in the nuts and bolts there,
yeah.
Do you, to maintain one video a day, do you batch record? Do you have someone scripting stuff for you? Do you basically just show up and record and everything's ready to go?
So that's the ideal state I want to get to. And we're fairly close to it. There's still a lot of, because we're like going a lot bigger in production and ideas, the team's going to be growing. And I want to get to the point where I can literally have input on ideation for ideas. And then obviously a little bit on scripting if there's anything related to it. And then just turn up. Everything else is sorted, like a proper production. Right now, I'm still very much in the weeds with it, which I enjoy, but there is also other uses of my time. There's other things competing for my time, basically, that only I can do. Whereas a lot of this stuff other people can do.
Yeah. What is the 80-20 of a great TikTok video? One thing I've noticed they get particularly good at is the hook, grabbing
100%.
attention.
Yes. That is, I wouldn't even say 80. That's like 90% of your video is the first 5 seconds. There's 3 parts to a hook. There's your visual hook, so it's like what environment are you in? There's your verbal hook, so it's what you actually say, and then there's your kind of like written hook, so that is any text on screen. And you have to think about your hook in all those 3 components. And when you look at that mega viral video of mine, it hits the nail on the head on all 3 of them, basically. So I would spend 90% of your time thinking about the initial hook and then the rest of it on how can you deliver on that hook. Because there's no point having a great hook if the rest of your content's shit and people just swipe after the first 5 seconds. You're not going to get the views, you're not going to be in the algo. So therefore it's like, how can I have the most enticing hook that's not super clickbait, dickhead, I'm just going to hook you in and I'm going to say anything to get your attention. But how can you actually then back that up with a really good 60 to 90 second story?
Yeah, what's the balance there? Because I've tested a few different hooks in my own content, and sometimes I feel like a little bit uncomfortable because I'm like, I'm a little bit misselling what I'm about to say. But I then see the result and I'm like, that got 20k views versus where I was a bit more honest and we were like 2k views.
Yes.
What's the line there?
I think as long as you are truly kind of like backing up your hook with quality, then you can almost say anything. If like Max Fosh has done a video where he's cooking a microwave meal from a volcano, if I just said, I'm going to do that and then didn't go and do that, you'd be really disappointed. But the clickbait would be great. But the fact that he's done that is like warrants the click and isn't just a load of like bullshit, basically.
Yeah. He delivers on the promise.
That's the best way to put it,
Yeah. Brilliant. What are you looking at in terms of the data and the analytics? Do you get too involved in that?
I love the data. I'm such a fucking data nerd,
yeah,
honestly.
What are you looking for? Are you looking? Is watch time important?
So it's interesting now because we're on the new creativity beta program because we create a lot of content over a minute. One of the metrics we look at is number of qualified views. What your RPM is as well and how much you're getting paid per 1,000 views. So those are like monetization metrics. Whereas if you look at engagement metrics, it's really things like what's your watch percentage. So how many people are actually getting to the end of your video. And then outside of that, we have one metric that's like views per hour that you can't track it inside of TikTok. I wish you could. Love to be able to make a suggestion to support me like this is a great metric because you can see from pretty much when you post a TikTok how well it's going to do based on how many views it picks up in the first 1 to maybe 6 hours. Because we always had this benchmark of we would publish a video at 9, 10 p.m. at night. That was our posting schedule. And then I knew if it was over 100K views by the morning when I got up at like 7 a.m. the next day, that's going to fly to like 500,000 to 1 million. The mega viral had 330,000. Other videos that have had millions of views had, 200 plus thousand in that time whilst I was sleeping. So then we kind of reverse engineered that and actually tracked the progress of videos, and we ended up with views per hour basically.
Yeah. I was talking to Grace from Direct CEO Stephen Bartlett on the podcast, and it's very similar. It's like on the YouTube video in that first hour, they know the numbers they need to hit for it to be a successful episode.
Yeah.
So how can you influence those numbers that you're talking about there? So the watch time, the views per hour.
Oh, I think at the end of the day, you've got to create a really good video with a really strong hook. Like, I think now more than ever, it's harder to stand out on social media because you're competing against the behemoths who are crushing it, like Mr. Beast and Ryan Trahan, when I think of YouTubers, Max Fosh, Zach as well. They are all in, and they have lots of resources and lots of expertise, and they've been doing it for so long. And your viewer is also going to be, potentially, if you're in the same niche, watching content like that. And so the expectation from the viewer is so much higher. And that's where, for us, a lot of time and effort is now going into ideas first. Because me just talking to camera about side hustles, that's only ever going to do so well. And that's the bottom line. Like, you're never going to build a really huge audience just by doing that. And you're never going to have the impact you want just by creating boring fucking content. You just can't create boring content anymore. Doesn't work.
Yeah. So that's really interesting what you said as well, because I think a lot of people in the entrepreneurial niche or kind of the information niche might think of their content as educational.
Yeah.
But do you see it like that, or do you see it more entertainment?
Yeah.
What are you going for there?
I mean, for us personally, I'm going more down the entertaining route for personal brands. So anything related to me, like I changed my description in my bio across socials recently to, I try crazy shit to make money. That is just the personal brand now. It's like, we're going to try ridiculous things to make money, to be entertaining and a smidgens of educational. But it's not going to be like a tutorial of, here's here's how to make your first £10,000 a month. Like, that is not going to be me. Personally, I hate doing camera videos that are really structured and scripted. It's not fun for me, and I have to create content that I enjoy creating. So that's like personal brand. But then at the same time, for the agency, the digital marketing agency, I'm also creating content specifically for that is very kind of educational, shows a lot of value, a lot of case studies, that is going to be traditionally more boring, but appealing to a much smaller niche that I want, the way, like on LinkedIn as well, becoming known as like, oh, he's that ads guy as well, by that people who are interested in building an e-commerce brand and scaling that up through paid media and retention. So I'm kind of in the weird position where we create both, but if anyone sees anything with Charlie Lawrence on it, it's going to be more entertaining than educational. Whereas if you see anything with Grey Agency, which is the agency, well, Gecko Squared being rebranded to Grey, that is going to be more educational. Like, I'll still be there talking about it, but it's just a different subset.
Yeah, and context for anyone listening, Charlie already had a digital marketing agency, and you're now starting a creator agency.
Yeah.
So let's get into what happens after you start posting on TikTok. You go viral on TikTok. What happens then? Do you see any impact at all on the business? And do you see impact in terms of you just becoming a creator and landing brand deals? What does that look like?
Both. So I think the anticipated one from a short-term perspective was, we're going to get loads of trolls. Trolls, okay, fine. Couldn't give a fuck at the end of the day. Like, I know some people, that's a big barrier to entry around creating content, but for me, for whatever reason, it doesn't affect me. Don't even think about it. So we got trolls, but then we also developed this community and this audience of ours that absolutely love my content, that are kind of like diehard fans. So you get all the positive side, like beefing with the negative side, which is great. And then brand deals flow. That's one of like the really common things that we were anticipating as we build up an audience. We're going to work with brands, and we were able to work with some incredible brands like Fiverr and InVideo. Ones that align with my ethos personally, not just being one of those influencers that shills any brand deal because they want a bit of money. It's like, we don't need to do that. And then the really surprising thing was when we were onboarding clients into the digital marketing agency, not the talent business, in the feedback they had given us was, I'd seen your content on TikTok. So we had brand exposure, even though I'd never mentioned in any of my TikToks, I run a digital marketing agency that, if you're this e-commerce brand, you should definitely apply to work with us. Never mentioned it, but we still picked up a whole bunch of clients and generated multiple six figures just from agency clients who have seen my content on TikTok. So that was amazing. That was really unexpected.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I think the fun thing about your stuff is I instantly get a feeling for who you are and what your businesses represent, which is that you're going to call bullshit on nonsense. Probably going to be quite fun.
Yes.
And generally your content, I think, creates a sense of trust as well. So I think that's a interesting thing when you're thinking about like building your personal brand, is like how wide do you go? Do you go super niche, or do you go wide? And then if you go wide for that kind of more mass audience, it still can be quite interesting in terms of what that content you're creating says about you.
Yes.
So I can 100% see how leads would come into the business that way. How do you reflect on that? Do you tell people who are business owners, go wide with your content or go niche?
It's a really good question. So I refer to that as niche or nah, whether you need to niche down, whether you need to go broader. The typical advice is to go broader than you are comfortable with, because unless your niche is inherently visual and related to your business in that way, then it's just going to be too boring. So you want to go slightly broader to attract a wider pool of people. And then within that pool are going to be, the right target audience for you. And I think of that as there's a really good brand called the Black Forest Woodworking Company on TikTok. And the reason why they have probably close to 1 million followers now is that their whole business is creating bespoke desks or chest of drawers or wardrobes and things like that from amazing pieces of wood, right? You'd think, that's pretty boring. Who wants to watch that? But they get millions of views in their whole transformational process of taking one piece of wood into an incredible desk that they'll then sell for like 50,000, because the business and the product is visual. It is the content. So without that, you're going to struggle to create interesting and unique content, which is why you want to think a little bit broader for most things, particularly digital businesses that don't have a physical product component.
Yeah. Do you see many? You've got a lead magnet, I think, on your Instagram. Do you see many downloads on that?
Is that the ecom case study one?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the meta ad scaling to 120K in 90 days. Yeah, which is nuts. We get a lot of downloads on that. But again, that's so specific to people that own an ecom business, are struggling with their meta ads. They're somewhere between like 20K and maybe 50K a month in rev, and they want to scale to multiple seven figures. And it's like, if you fit that, this is the playbook on exactly how to do it. This is how we did it for a client of ours. We even named the client in it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Follow that.
But yeah, I think because you're generating hundreds of thousands, millions of views a month, you're going to have some of those people hopefully come by and spot it. Yeah. Let's talk about the monetization side, the brand deals. Mm-hmm. How does that work? Have you had maybe like inbound stuff? And
it's all inbound.
How have you navigated that? What does a good brand deal look like? Can you talk some numbers?
Yeah. So a good brand deal is one that values you as a creator. And I always have to say that because there are plenty of brands out there that say they value you as a creator, but when it comes to remuneration and compensation for you doing the work, the budget and how much they're paying you doesn't reflect that. So as a rule of thumb, we have it as 0.003 times by your number of followers you have, and that will give you a rough cost per video you can charge for like TikTok. Obviously, Instagram is more of a premium, particularly YouTube long form, you add more of a premium, and then you start layering in things like add-ons that everything from link in bio, paid media usage rights, organic usage rights, and then if you want to throw in story sets, if you want to make it exclusive as a partnership, if you want to go like from a 1 video deal to a 3-month collaboration or a 6-month or even an annual one as a brand ambassador, there's so many ways to charge that you should be, because all of these extra parts you're entitled to as a creator, particularly like paid media usage. Like a lot of brands will pump money behind your creative. And then you can even go one step further. And what we found that works with the right brand alignment is if they have an affiliate program, you use the creator's affiliate link in the paid media that uses their creative. And so you then get the kickback for the affiliates that all sign up from the ads that they're running with your face in the videos, basically.
Yeah, if I'm a brand, I'm going to regret approaching you as an agency owner versus the clueless creator.
This is the thing. There's so many people who don't necessarily know that or have that kind of business knowledge to be like, I'm worth so much more because we have the agency side and I've run it through personally as a creator. We've seen all of it.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, you should be getting paid a lot more than you are. And I think some brands take advantage of knowing that there'll always be a creator who will do it super cheap because they don't quite know how to charge fairly for their worth.
Yeah. And so with your page, what's an example of like you did them? Can you do the maths for me?
Go on.
So if Fiverr come to you, what's a good brand deal for you? They're going to sponsor 5 TikTok videos and they're going to pay $3,000 for that. Like what's something you're going to say yes to?
I can't disclose.
I know, not Fiverr,
but I mean, for us, how we work with brands now is we very rarely do one single video campaigns because the way we are doing short form now with bigger ideas and bigger production, typically we're looking at a 3 video deal over 3 months, and then anything above that, like 6 months or 12 months, like brand ambassadorship, and working with a lot fewer brands, but ones that number one, really value me and the audience that we have, and then also can let us have the creative freedom to do the videos we want to do that we know will work and they're not too controlling. Like, for example, we've just pitched a brand, I can't say who it is, but we've just pitched a brand a 3-part series of me creating a YouTube Shorts channel just using their AI tool to create the videos and like monetization on that. That's going to be a load of work, and so they got to pay for it. But we know that video and that idea across the 3 parts is going to crush. And so it's like we'd worked with them previously, so it's like, right, great, we're close to getting sign off on that, which would be amazing. But it's very different because at the start we just were like, oh yeah, brand deal there. Oh, let's have a think. Is it right? Like, I think we made the mistake early on of doing too many in a short period of time because they all kind of came at once. We were like, so it's like a brand video going out every week or so. I was like, that's just way too much.
Yeah. What are the other mistakes that you've made?
Not doubling, okay, this is the best one. Not making content defensible. I think doing something that other people came into the market and they got favored by the algorithm. So not having content that is truly unique in that regard. I think we're definitely changing that now. I think at the start with brand deals, undercharging. I think every creator makes that mistake. Definitely undercharge for some of the earliest brand deals, which you just do and you learn from. And then I'm trying to think of another mistake we've made from a content perspective. Probably not diversifying platforms quick enough. I think we took a little bit too long to be like, oh, okay, let's really try and crack Instagram Reels, but knowing that will require slightly different content. Like treating all the platforms the same. So just repurposing content from TikTok, main platform, into Instagram, into YouTube. And then as we tested more content, we realized actually that style of video does great on Reels, but does fucking dreadful on TikTok. So not adjusting our strategy to the platform quick enough.
So did you do that now?
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah, we do.
What are the differences that you see?
Like, for example, we know there's a whiteboard series we do that does really well on Instagram Reels, doesn't do well on TikTok. So like, okay, we just won't post that content on TikTok. We know that's kind of an Instagram only format for us. So that's one example. There are other ones, but that's the one that immediately comes to my mind.
Why do you think that works on Instagram better than TikTok?
So I think it's probably because the dwell time on Instagram is longer based on the community we have there, because there's probably a slightly closer connection compared to TikTok, because we put a lot more behind the scenes content on Instagram compared with TikTok.
Yeah. Let's talk about the next thing that happened after the brand deals, which is you're starting an agency for creators.
Yes.
What sparked that idea?
So, yeah, I've started a talent management agency for entrepreneurial content creators, because when I became a creator, one of the pieces of feedback I always got from friends who were other creators, as I went to more networking events and just meeting other creators who liked my content and I liked theirs as well, was there was inconsistent monetization on brand deals because they don't last forever. And coming from a business entrepreneurship perspective, where content creator for me was almost like my side hustle, there was this opportunity that we could work with creators who have built up an engaged audience, who want to grow and build a sustainable business that provides them more long-term wealth than just relying on brand deals, basically.
Yeah. So what does that look like?
From a deliverables perspective, we have these 4 pillars. We help creators build their audience. So we do a lot of data analysis, content strategy, ideation. We also have the option for post-production with the editing team we have here, because again, that's something creators, when it is just them, they're often doing the ideas, the production and the editing. So as soon as you offload editing to our team, then that frees up time for the creator to create more content and focus on ideas. We then have the second pillar that's building brand partnerships. They are obviously important. And we're not just like, just suddenly throw them in the bin and forget them. No, they're great at generating immediate cash. And so we have connections and we do full negotiations for that with for our talent. And then we have the business component. So if they have an existing business or they want to start a business, we basically do all the marketing and operational support for that. So we'll help them build it from scratch and scale it into multiple 6 and even 7 figures if they have the ambition to do so. And then the last pillar is building your best self. And this is arguably the most important, because none of the other pillars and the work we do there and the work the creator does there means anything if they're not enjoying it and they're not in a really positive space mentally, from a mental health perspective and a well-being perspective. So we're going to have retreats and creator events, and they'll be in a community with other talent that they'll have access to and just chat, because you're all going to be in the same place of wanting to grow your audience, monetize more effectively and grow a business. Every talent that we sign will have that same ambition and goal, and so you're going to be in a unique position to surround yourself with other people like that.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I mean, we come across a lot of talent agencies, maybe the more traditional side on our agencies. Yeah. And it's interesting that just how bad they are, like how ill-equipped they are for the social media creators.
Yes.
They're still stuck in this land of TV stars and authors and that traditional world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just feels like it's a prime time for people in this kind of space. We were just talking earlier, like trying to get short form script writers and people who can maybe produce and come up with ideas and concepts. Yeah. That is a skill that's highly in demand, and there's literally hardly anyone doing it.
Yes. And I think that's the thing. I think there is this kind of crossover between traditional telly roles in producing content for TV and then producing content for short form and long form on YouTube. And I think it's a hard, like right now we're looking for an assistant producer. Depending on when this comes out, we may still be looking for one or we may have found one, but we're looking for like a more traditional telly role there, but that can take the ideas that we come up with that are more short form or long form focused for YouTube. So there is this gap in the market right now that I feel is not being served for creators that are particularly entrepreneurial, that are social first, not coming from traditional media. And that's what we're like here to fill, basically.
Yeah. I think it's also interesting that we were talking about a guy called Sahil Bloom the other week, who is a creator in the US.
Oh, yeah.
And he looked at all of his cost centers as a creator. So
Yeah.
newsletter growth, design, short form content,
Yeah.
YouTube. And he's basically turned all of his cost centers into agencies. So
Oh,
a newsletter
interesting.
growth agency,
Yeah.
a short form video agency,
Yeah.
etc.,
That's
etc.
cool.
I think that's the other cool angle here is like you're basically learning a skill, getting a process down,
Yeah.
bringing all the expertise obviously from your previous agency, but
Yeah.
then like spinning that out into something that could be much bigger than just you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like we're building the team out on that business from day one in order to, turn it into something that will probably surpass the digital marketing agency because, the content creator niche is massively growing. I think it's only going to get stronger in the next 5 years. And I think more people, like if you look at a younger generation, more and more people want to become creators as well. So I think you've got like a Gen Z generation that are, I think there was something like 86% of people in school wanted to become a YouTuber or content creator or like social media influencer at some point. It's like, okay, there's people interested in it. So there's always going to be a flood of new people. And then because like me personally, to kind of like spearhead the business is uniquely positioned because of the 10 years of building brands and personal brands and scaling people's businesses to multiple 6, 7, and 8 figures. Like we have the business chops and the team in place already to help creators scale their business in a way that they're not going to find anywhere else. And there's no other agency at the moment that does that for creators that are not the 0.01%, like the Logan Pauls, the KSI, the Sidemen, where resources are unlimited, so that's the position we take where we can help you get to the 0.01%, but we want to be there from, if you've got 100K followers and you have the ambition to grow a business and you have an engaged community, then apply for talent.
Yeah. Why is the creative business such a good business? And are there people that you see that you really like what they're doing, that you admire, that are inspiring you to do this and build that out as a new agency?
Yeah, I think Mr. Beast's manager, Reed, is super interesting. What he's done with Night Media, I think, incredible. They're obviously at like the top, working with Mr. Beast and Feastables and so forth. They're super inspirational. There's another guy, Jordan, who is one of the 3 guys behind the business that works and helps launch and grow the Sidemen businesses. Incredible guy. He used to work at a talent agency before that. Obviously spotted this opportunity and has just gone all in with the Sidemen, and they're obviously doing amazing things. So I think those 2 people in particular I really look up to. I'm like, okay, they're doing it at an insane level. And then in terms of creators, I think this is the thing, right? With creators, there's a whole bunch. If I go through like my TikTok now, there's a bunch of creators that most people wouldn't even know that have audiences of a couple 100,000, but they are pumping out views and they're amazing. I can't say some of them because we've actually signed them. And we'll wait for sign off on that. But they're going to eventually become more household names. And we're there in the early start of their journey to really help them propel that. And so I'm finding I'm viewing TikTok as obviously massive discovery for emerging talent that we can outreach to and be like, hey, we think, you can do this, this, and this, and we can help you do it, and so forth. But we're very selective with who we actually approach. But yeah, there's a lot of people on my radar at the moment.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I think it's so cool when you meet these people, because they have so much potential, but a lot of them probably don't realize it.
Yeah.
And so they just need the right team around them to help them do
Definitely.
more and execute at a higher level. And as you say, like the potential of
It's crazy.
create the creators as businesses and to create lives doing what they love.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
It's amazing. And I think one of the other components to the talent agency that's very different from when I first launched my digital marketing agency is that there's no like upwards or downwards financial pressure on that business, because personally we don't rely on it to take any income or live our life and stuff. So it's very freeing to be able to launch and create a business where there's no financial pressure on it, and we can grow it at the pace we want and work with the talent we want and be really selective and only work with the people that align with our ethos and beliefs and are entrepreneurial, that we think can take it to that next level and be part of that journey with them. It's a really freeing experience. It's very, very different from the agency I launched 10 years ago, and I'm loving it. It's just amazing.
What are the biggest lessons that from the current agency that you're taking to the new one?
The biggest one is saying no more, because at the start of like the digital marketing agency, needed to pay rent and all of this kind of stuff, and so you took on clients that weren't necessarily the right fit. And early on in my career, like you would take on clients for the money, basically, because money was money and you needed it. When you start from nothing and you didn't have any investment or anything like that, it's hard, and so you make those sacrifices there. I think with talent, we can be a lot more selective with who we work with, who we say yes to and who we say no to, because we don't need the X amount coming, like how we make revenue through talent and stuff. We don't need the X percentage coming off brand deals and all this kind of stuff like that. So I think that's probably the biggest thing, is saying no more. And then the other thing is building a brand from day one. So we have worked hard, me and the team, to launch an identifiable brand that we can build up so people will know Grey Talent, the color schemes, the brand guidelines, everything that we do, so that it is thought about from day one. Whereas, when I launched the digital marketing agency at the start, it was just me. I was a freelancer. Like, we're building the team in talent from day one, basically, in a way that we couldn't do with the digital marketing agency because we didn't have the resources to do so.
Yeah. Let's talk about the next 6 months, a year.
Yeah.
Where do you want to be? Where are you putting your effort?
So at the moment, that's a really good question. That's such a good question, right? Because that's going to change, I feel like, over the next 6 to 12 months. So at the moment, my time is going into the talent business and my digital marketing agency. Now, when I say my digital marketing agency, that pretty much runs itself now. Like, we've got the team in place. Like, that's in a position where it's given me enough time to launch another business, which is amazing. I then think we're going to probably launch 2 more businesses that aren't going to be run by me. I'm not going to, if you saw them, you wouldn't know that myself and my wife owned them. They're going to be completely independent. We're going to build the teams out for both of those businesses. And one of them's a product-based business, and one of them's a high-end service-based business, but nothing related to the niches for the agency or for the talent company. But we're able to apply our digital marketing knowledge to those industries, and with content creation as well, to those 2 respective industries, because there's a gap in the market for both of them, because some of them are a little bit archaic and some of them are just fragmented in terms of competitors. So we've identified those and we want to launch those in the next 6 months.
Why? Haven't you got enough going on?
Oh, well, it's just leveraging. I think I'm at the point now where I can leverage other people's time.
Yeah.
So we have the team in place, we have the expertise, we can hire the team as well. But I know we can execute more effectively than competitors in those two other spaces, just purely based on a lot of people in one of the verticals. A lot of competitors are not designing the deliverables to be like social first. It's very traditional. That's going to mean nothing to nobody because I've given you no context around the business. But there's a bit where we can bring a load of social expertise in and like set ourselves apart. And I think there's a growing demand for that in that niche. And then the other one is super fragmented. There's no like one big player in the market. There's lots of like Etsy store sellers around it. And I was like, right, whenever there's loads of people selling stuff on Etsy, I know we can come in with a better brand positioning, better branding, better execution in marketing, and that can be our unique competitive advantage that they don't have. And so, yeah, that's why we can deploy teams and build our teams for that. Because at the end of the day, I just like a portfolio of companies. So I think we've got the model down at building and launching businesses. I just want to do more. That's what I really like doing.
Yeah, I love that. Or maybe we chat a bit more about them when they're public.
Yeah, definitely.
It would be remiss of me not to have a segment now where we rip into some
gurus. Yeah.
Who should we start with? Who's the?
Let's go.
Who's top of the chain?
I saw a video from him last night. Iman Gadzhi was showing me his $2.8 million watch collection. So he's someone who, in himself, he's done something. I don't know him personally. He's done something crazy impressive to have the success he's had at his age. 100%, you can't deny that. Do I think the products he sells, based on the reviews I've seen from people with a lot of expertise in building agencies, do I think he has great products? No, I don't think they're necessarily the highest level of quality, but he sells the lifestyle. He's a phenomenal marketer. Like, that's just that's his USP. Also helps that he's a good looking dude, he's young, and so a lot of younger people look up to him. Like, well, if he says start a social media marketing agency, I'll just take his course on it because he's the goal. I want to be like him. And there's some red flags with that in terms of people overselling the lifestyle around courses and deliverables and so forth. So yeah, and I know if you click this up, that's going to get so much hate because he's got such a loyal following. Be like, oh, he's the GOAT of SMMA. You're not worth like 59 billion by 24 or whatever, like some fucking bullshit like that. So
that's the hard thing with these people, isn't it? It's like you say, he's a phenomenal marketer.
Yeah.
He's built an amazing audience.
Yeah.
He's positioned an offer in a great way, and yeah, it's hard because there's like so much genius in it, but there's also a harsh reality, which is if you start a social media marketing agency in 2023, you are not going to be balling with a Rolex and a Rolls Royce in Dubai tomorrow. You're probably going to be smashing your head against the wall because there's
dealing with troublesome clients.
Yeah.
It's not all just, I'm going to suddenly jet off to Dubai. Like, no, particularly if you do the work to begin with. I think that's one of the issues with a program, or some of the gurus say, it's like, oh, just outsource the work. Yeah, but if you have no idea how to do the job you've just got a client for, how do you know that the person you're outsourcing to can do a good job? How do you hire someone based on a skill you've never learned, particularly in digital marketing? I think that's very true. So, freelance to begin with and then build the team out after you know how to spot a good person to do the service delivery.
Yeah. Who's next?
Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
GC, the big GC. Stacks on stacks, racks on racks, as he says. 10x everything, 10x your life. He is, again, a phenomenal salesman. Like, even more so than Iman. Like, Iman's like tiny in comparison to like the level of info sales Grant Cardone has done through his sales university and stuff like that. It's absolutely insane. However, he's in the sphere of social media business gurus for the sake of it, in the sense that like he can just stay super shit now because he's got the perceived expertise, the audience, the systems in place to pump out content, and he can just say anything he wants and he knows he's going to get views on it. And so he says some absolutely ridiculous things. Like, it's just as simple to 10x your life. And it's not. I read his book years and years ago, and it was just like not so much like actual execution on how to do it, more like just think bigger, just think bigger. It's like, great, I can think really big, but if I don't know how to execute and build out a big idea, there's no fucking point, because there's millions of people that think massive. They want to build the next Apple or Tesla, but you know, those that actually do aren't just sat there all day on social media thinking big.
Yeah, 100% with you. Let's do one more. Last one.
Let's go Tai Lopez. Let's bring back an OG of digital marketing here in my garage. The knowledge, the Lambos. He's made a resurgence recently across content, across like social media. I've seen him doing interviews and stuff. And again, his timing was impeccable. He ran with something that was phenomenally, I say phenomenally all the time. Those are all three examples of people that were right time, right place, right execution, and then they just ran with it and scaled with it. Didn't deviate, just went all in. So his like 67-step program he launched, and when he pumped tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions, into Google ads back in the day, it made him a shit ton of money. But now though, you think like, where are they now? I swear he had some crypto stuff, obviously sus. Like anything in crypto is pretty sus, let's be honest. It's down 90-something% in the market. So they were all very good people that capitalized at a moment in time. And he was the GOAT. He was the OG on it early, like before, like Iman was probably like 10. If that, I actually don't know how long ago. What was Tai Lopez? Does anyone look up when Tai Lopez dropped his first video here in my garage? It's got to be like 2015, 16 maybe?
I think so.
So what's that? 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago? And if Iman Gadzhi's 24 or something like that, he was 16.
Yeah.
So I think he was still in school. So, yeah.
All right, let's wrap up with some quickfire questions. What are you optimizing for?
Best use of my time.
What's something you wish you could tell your younger self?
Don't care what other people think of you. Like, just be authentically you, no matter what that looks like.
Very nice. What's a reality of business people don't talk about?
It takes you way longer to start making a shit ton of money, where you have the like financial freedom everyone's after.
Best advice you've ever received?
Focus.
Kindest thing someone's ever done for you?
My wife marrying me and giving birth to our son.
Best thing you've done with your money?
Porsche.
Worst thing you've done with your money?
Porsche.
Top 3 books?
Traction by Gino Wickman, This is Marketing, Seth Godin, and Blue Ocean Strategy.
What gets you fired up?
Having a bigger impact on the world. That's the most like woo-woo answer ever, but it is.
What's next?
Talent management business, agency, big dreams on YouTube as well, for content, personal brand.
Love it. And lastly, where can people find you?
Just Charlie Lawrence. Lawrence, Lawrance. Weird spelling, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Definitely sub to YouTube, because we actually have our latest long form video dropping very soon. $0 to $1,000 in 24-hour challenge, and it's a banger video.
Love that.
Awesome.
All right, let's wrap it there.
Right, thank you very much. Thank you. That was good. Look, I'm so bad at quickfire questions.
You're good.
I'm the fucking worst.
After the first one, that's fine.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I hate quickfire. I'm so bad at it.